Hey peeps, hey sagies, we are back. We are talking the Real Housewives of Potomac, season 6, episode 19, reunion part 2. And of course, Indigo Sage is here with us, and she is going to help us break down this episode. And let me just tell you, peeps, between the Real Housewives of Potomac and the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, they have drove your girl to drinking. Okay, so we're going to just take this sip and get right into it.
It was a lot.
Whew, girl, it was too daggone much.
Especially for this newbie with the Salt Lake City,
gosh.
but we talking about Potomac.
We're talking about Potomac. Okay, so Potomac starts off, and it is Candace and Mia, and they are still going back and forth, yelling at each other over Candace's comments about Mia's mom. And Mia makes some comments.
Watch your back. Sit on this couch with me with these rehearsed ass reads.
Candace,
so just shut the up.
Her ass kicking is over do, Andy. And I'm not going to be the one to do it.
And Candace,
are you going to kick my ass?
Well, I hope not, because she's 3 times bigger than you. She's 3 times bigger. Candace, this is my concern. Are you stepping out in the street talking to strangers this way? Candace, do you not understand it has to stop?
Why all the body shaming? You say everybody does it.
Yes. There's a history in the group.
Ashley said Mia's vagina was beat to a pulp.
Beat to a pulp. Wendy was the subject of egregious body shaming.
Happy in this.
Candace, do you keep going? You may not have to spare anyone's feeling. Everyone may tune you out. No one is going to stand in the line of fire either of abuse with the tongue.
I've been here six seasons. No, I've been here 6 seasons.
And you are the worst reader in the moment.
No.
You are a bad example.
Okay, but
you don't read in the moment.
There's never been an altercation.
Not with you.
Mia, to you, what I said to Candace last year, which is you have become a disaster on social media.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, you are like...
I definitely do think that I was a little bit of a disaster on Twitter.
Well, my question in regards to all of that, because right after that, I called Giselle Jizzy. Jizzy and Karen compare themselves to their beef because they're trying to explain it to Candace, and it doesn't seem to be sinking in. And so then they compare their beef. And I wanted to ask you, because I do think if this exists, I think Jizzy and Karen's beef is a little more classy based than what Karen and Mia did. And I wanted your opinion on that as well.
Well, I was thinking about that. When Candace was talking about the differences between the rest of the ladies, and then Karen and Giselle jumped in to say, well, their beef is different. The way they throw shade is a little bit different. And you guys know, I love Karen. I love Karen and her 3-wick. I really do. But Karen and Giselle and Robin and the rest of the ladies, they can get just as dirty and in the gutter as Candace. And, do I think that Candace takes it a step further? Absolutely. Okay. But these ladies, they go hard just like she does. The only difference is they do know when to pull back.
There you go.
And they do know when to let things go and move on, let the conversation flow somewhere else for that moment. Even if Karen and Giselle do get back into it over and over and over again, they never get to the point where they are up in each other's face, screaming and hollering and just acting out. Candace takes everything to a very low level. And so does Ashley. And that's something that bothers me too, is Ashley loves to point out all of Candace's mess. But Ashley gets just as low and dirty in the trash as Candace. And it's like, girl, if you don't shut the hell on up, because you are just as bad as Candace in my book. But that's just my opinion. I mean, what do you think about Ashley compared to Candace?
You know what? Here's all I have to say about Ashley. Just the last 2 seasons have I really gotten into Potomac. And I think before that must have been when Ashley was down in the gutter or the dirt. And I think I missed it because I haven't really seen Ashley get as dirty as Candace. I haven't seen anybody get as dirty as Candace.
I think that you may have missed a few episodes because Candace she's too much. I mean, we all know Candace is too daggone much. But Ashley can get just as crazy. And she, especially when they go after each other on Twitter, you know, they brought up how Candace is lethal on Twitter. So is Ashley. And then, of course, they brought up how Mia acts ridiculous on Twitter. And she's a mess. That woman is a little crazy out on Twitter. But the thing that I noticed is she tried to do what the other ladies from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City tried. That social media manager. No, ma'am, I don't believe Mia at all. Why doesn't anybody? She was out there doing all of that. I think she was out there saying all those tweets and Instagram, all that stuff. I believe, in my opinion, that Mia was doing that the same way I believe that Jen Shaw was making all of those comments about Brooks, and the way she was talking bad about Heather. It wasn't your social media manager. Stop those lies.
Can I ask you something real quick? Because when audiences get upset with someone, they all of a sudden they just say you didn't have a social media manager. Is there ever a time where you'll believe someone had a social media manager?
I would believe that somebody had a social media manager if it wasn't happening on a regular basis. It's all the time happening. Now, if every now and again you have a social media manager who gets a little too crazy with it, then I would say, yeah, that wasn't right. You know, maybe have a little sit down with this manager. But if it's just continuing, and then Mia made the comment that she'll do better next season. How are you going to do better next season if that was your social media manager who was doing it?
Yeah.
You were doing it, in my opinion.
And with this social media manager, just one last thing I want to say. Kathy Hilton, and I know this is a different franchise, but she's a perfect example. Right after their reunion, one of those reunions, because you know they have 4, they on Kathy Hilton's, I think it was an IG post, because I snapped a picture of it, but they were at Paris Hilton's baby shower or wedding or something like that, and it was her, Kyle, Garcelle, and off to the side was Dorit.
Okay.
And they smudged her face a little bit and said the new Karen, something like that. Now somebody, when I saw it, it was retweeted or reposted, and they said this has to be her social media manager because Kathy wouldn't do a thing like that. And I was thinking, wait a minute. So now we're not believing people when they say they have social media managers, but Kathy Hilton didn't say anything about it, but someone just automatically said this is her social media manager. So I'm like, how do we tell?
I believe that was Kathy. I believe it was Kathy, because if you were Kathy Hilton's social media manager, would you risk doing something like that? I think that was Kathy. Kathy said,
how do we tell the difference?
Kathy has proven pretty much that she is not a fan of Dorit's. Not at all. And I think that's exactly what was going down. She was letting Dorit know, I'm not here for this. I'm really not. And you know, the thing that bothered me the most about the whole Candace thing, her and Mia and the ladies going back and forth, yelling at her about her behavior, it's the lack of accountability. That's what bothers me. And, you know, Karen made the comments to her that, you know, pretty soon the ladies are just going to be done with you. And yes, it's okay if you do something, you want to stand in it. Okay. But this is her 4th or 5th season on the show, and I have seen no development. I have seen 0 development in Candace's maturity level. And just because you are really good at leveling people verbally, just because you are really good with the comeback, does not mean that you have to always be on ready. Why is it a problem to be the bigger person just to turn around and walk away? You know, and Giselle made that comment. She said, or it was either Giselle or Karen, one of them made the comment that when Candace says, what, you want to fight me? You want to beat me up or something? One of them made the comment, well, I sure hope she doesn't, because she's a lot bigger than you.
Yeah, it was
when
Giselle.
Karen also made the comment, she said, do you talk fly like this to people out on the street, to strangers? And I said, all right, Karen, because no, ma'am, I bet you a dime to a donut. Candace is not out in these streets talking to people like
talking
this.
all that rah-rah.
No, ma'am. You are good on social media and you good at talking crap to these girls because you got security everywhere. But I know for sure you are not out in the streets talking
doing all that rah-rah.
No, ma'am. You can't do
She ain't
that.
about that
you
life.
Get hemmed up real quick.
She ain't about that life. You know what I was wondering? Because after that, they asked about the classism with Mia. And I didn't, you know what? I didn't know that she was, well, yeah, okay, yes, I did. I was gonna say, I didn't know she was trying to put classism on them, like, you know, I'm better than, because to me, that's what classism is. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Escala brought that up. And
you said Escala?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with Escala because she said that Mia was being tacky, and Mia was being extremely tacky because every time they got together, she brought up how many businesses she owns. She's a boss chick and how much money she makes. And personally, if I'm new to a group and there's a new girl who's also new to the group, but every time we get together, she brings up how she's a boss, how much money she makes, how many businesses she has, that would piss me off as well. Ma'am, are you trying to say something to me? Are you trying to let me know that I'm just a broke bitch? Like, what are you saying? Stop trying to act as if you are better than me when we all know that your husband found you in a, 5-star, strip place. But at the same time, Escala and Candace were the main ones that kept trying to throw her under the bus by calling her a prostitute.
Yes.
And that wasn't cute either. So if she's tacky for bringing up the fact that she's a boss, then you are tacky for bringing up the fact that she came from a strip club. Which then, now that I'm thinking about it, does that make me tacky as well? Because I just mentioned that she came from the strip club? I don't even know. But I have to agree with Escala. It was tacky how how Mia acted. But it was also tacky of Escala and Candace and Giselle and Robin and anybody else who kept bringing up this
all of them
out of a strip club.
They kept on.
We even seen that. What's that
and
woman's
they talked about
name?
her vagina.
What's that lady? Marsha Clark. Was that the woman who prosecuted O.J. Simpson? I think her name was Marsha Clark.
Yeah.
She was a stripper. She stripped her way through college. Okay, so quit playing with people. Some people really are out here in the strip club popping and shaking and locking for some change and doing the right thing later. You don't know what their life is like.
That's true. If Marsha Clark was a stripper, I hope her hair was different.
Yeah, girl, shut up.
What I
certainly hope her hair was different too. But did you notice that Robin was doing the same thing this season that she always does? Just caping for Giselle. I mean, she might as well just change her name to Giselle because every time somebody says something to Giselle, here comes Robin. Like, girl.
And told Wendy to be quiet.
Check for this.
But I want to ask you, because Andy did say with that classism and Mia bragging about her stuff, he said, I see that with a lot of ladies on their first season when they come into a group, their first time. Do you agree with him that it may just be because of her first time and like next season she'll be, if she comes back for next season, but next season she'll be better?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think next season is her sophomore season. And you know what they say about housewives on their sophomore season?
What?
That when it's their sophomore season, the other housewives come for them.
True.
And as if they haven't came for her this season.
I know. Like, how can it get any worse?
She's going to be back on. Her social media manager did all that.
I don't think she's going to come back.
Manager did all that. But the crazy thing for me was Candace. When Mia says that she'll try to do better next season, Candace says, oh, that's not good enough. That's not right. How are you going to say something like that? That you're just going to act like you don't care from us? I said, ma'am, listen, you are the last person that should be giving this woman advice about how she's going to handle her Twitter. You are lethal and deadly and horrible on all social media. You cannot talk to her about her behavior on social media. What you can do is sit back and look cute. Just sit back and be cute. Zip those lips. I mean, she was doing the most.
But I honestly don't think that Mia is gonna come back. But that's just my thoughts, because she said she almost didn't make it to
the reunion. Yeah,
and she gave us a reason why, because that was basically low class. That's not the word she used, but in interest of time, low class.
That's just crazy to me. I think that
she thought they were more like Beverly Hills.
I have a feeling for some reason, I have the feeling that they are not going to shake up the Real Housewives of Potomac at all. I think that they are absolutely going to leave it like it is. And they want these women to pick up right here where it leaves off. And I think that they want to see the action continue. And that is why at the end of last season, they offered Monique her contract. And Monique decided to step out. Andy and the rest of them admitted somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to say allegedly because I can't remember where I seen it. That they wanted her to come back because they wanted to see this situation with her and Candace and where it was going to go. And I think they're going to keep Mia because they want to see where this is going to go between not only Mia and Candace, but Mia and Wendy.
Mia is the one that's acting like she doesn't want to come back.
Listen, honey, when they up those coins,
I know
Mia will be back. Plus, you can tell that Mia is really enjoying the fame. She will be back. Then they moved on to Karen, who says that she got that hot box comment about Giselle from the same blog that brought up the Eddie situation.
Oh, really? Oh, there was something on the blog.
Let's disregard them, though.
The same blog that said whatever they said about Eddie said stuff about Giselle, but as you saw, Giselle brushed it off and didn't care.
Right,
didn't
and
make a
as
big
you
deal
saw
out of
earlier, Robin said we shouldn't police how people respond. Next question.
Oh my Lord.
Wendy, don't you think it's hypocritical for Giselle to want Karen to apologize for talking about the rumors about Jamal while she was going around spreading rumors about Eddie and others?
I didn't spread any rumors about Eddie.
You went to everybody else except for me talking about rumors when Karen spoke the facts about Jamal. So you want an apology for Karen when she spoke facts that were backed with evidence.
This is out
but
there,
you will not apologize to me when I have kids who can read. Good job, Giselle.
I have kids too, and you looked at my daughter cockeyed crazy.
I didn't.
Who's moving? You moving us?
Yes, Grace is.
Oh,
she is a young driver.
Candace told me to be I'm scared.
Okay. Wait, is it this one? Now, I did say drug addict, alcoholic, all that. Alcoholic neck and leg. I said it all.
Those are fighting words.
Do you understand that Karen and I sat across the table from each other? She didn't want to fight, and I didn't want to fight. Okay, I'm gonna grab the booty.
She's so nasty.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, and it's crazy how Robin doesn't see it. How does Robin not see it? But yet she called Wendy out on. She said, "You always have to insert yourself," and I was thinking, "You always got to insert yourself." Like, how are you seeing Wendy and calling Wendy out on that behavior, but you don't see it in yourself?
Right.
That's weird to me.
Right. And you know what? When they brought up that unseen footage when Karen called Giselle a whore or something like that, and then she brought up the whole Ray and Diane and everything, I had to agree with Giselle with that because, you know, you held on to that for 4 seasons. Like, if you really thought this woman was wishing death on your husband, why did you bring that up 4 seasons ago? And that story about how her kids didn't want her to bring it up and her kids were younger.
You don't accept that?
Your kids were like 19 and 21. And no, ma'am, nobody is falling for it. Let that go. As much as I love Karen, you know, maybe you were in need of a storyline and thought, remember that time she said that about Ray? I mean, stop it.
That's where I'm going with it. What I believe, what I see as a pattern, just me, what I see as a pattern with a lot of these housewives, they have one sip girl, because it was a lot tonight, but they have one main storyline and then what I call like a sub storyline.
Right.
I think Karen's main storyline for this season was her wedding, her remarriage,
and the 3-wick.
Yes, the 3-wick was a storyline. Okay. And the sub, she had 2 subs, the wedding and Giselle wishing death on Ray, you know, but they always have to have a backup. And I noticed that. I think that's a pattern with some of these ladies.
It's too much, you know. And then when they brought up Eddie,
how mature I am, I apologize to Grace. That's simple. Right. We move on.
Right.
Make sure you apologize to Carter and Cruz when your turn comes. Go ahead.
No, I
make
don't
sure
think so,
you apologize to my children.
Actually,
when you apologize to my children.
Father.
I do think that Giselle owed Wendy an apology. I mean, she was outright trying to get a storyline to happen. It was as if Giselle was actually trying to produce this season, and she brought Eddie up, and then she tried to say that she was bringing it up as a concerned friend, but she didn't believe it was true. And I'm thinking, ma'am, you alive. You didn't bring this up as a concerned friend, because a concerned friend, if that was me and you, and I seen some BS about your husband, I would have said, you know what? Let me call Indigo up and find out if she want to have a little lunch. Private. You know what? Let me see if she want to have a little lunch without these Bravo cameras.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna tell her, girl, what is happening? What is going on? They said your husband is cheating. I am not going to bring this up on camera and try to be shady about it, and then mention that maybe that's why Indigo got them new boobs. I mean, what in the world? What?
That is so wrong. That was so wrong. And she was so full of mess. She was so full of mess. I was like, you're not telling the truth at all, girl. As my grandma was saying, the truth ain't in you.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And
what did you think about them hugging?
I loved it. I loved it. And because one of them made the comment that the fans are tired of us arguing. And I said, thank you, Jesus. I said, oh my gosh, somebody has had to say it. We as fans, I'm speaking for the peeps and the sages, don't kill me, guys. But is anybody else tired of seeing this every single season? Is Karen and Giselle? It's just
old.
It's so old. We are so over it. And actually, to be very honest, when they are getting along and laughing and being jokey with each other and throwing slight shade to one another, that's hilarious. But when they are going back and forth and Robin is trying to get a piece of the action because otherwise she's just getting a check for nothing, it's just ridiculous. I have had it. But I do agree with Candace. Giselle and Karen, they are just as deadly with their shade as Candace. It's just that they handle it differently. So I agree with Giselle with her and Karen saying that they handle theirs differently. They don't ever
neither one of them would have said your mama. Neither one of them
they don't get to the point where they shaking the table and everything. You know what I mean? They don't get to the point where they throwing lettuce or up in somebody's face, drag me. You know, it didn't get there. Even though Candace had a point when she brought up Giselle bringing Robin to Oz and Robin, you know, getting all up in Ashley's face. Or remember that time she put that umbrella up to Monique?
Oh, yeah, but that was Robin. Both those examples was Robin.
Yeah, that was Robin. That's what I'm saying.
So we're talking about Karen and Giselle. Yeah. They don't want to fight each other.
No, but remember, Candace brought it up and she said you brought Robin over there to that restaurant.
But Robin is the one.
And she was like, I didn't know what Robin was gonna do, but you didn't stop her either. You know,
Robin is a whole nother person.
Robin is a whole mess that needs
to
be
like
gone.
If you tell me you want to go visit somebody, I'm gonna think, okay, we're going to visit somebody. I ain't gonna know little P gonna come out.
Honey, now listen. I understand that. I take everything back that I just said. Because one time, one of my friends asked me to give her a ride to one of my other friends' house. And when we got there, she told the girl she was sleeping with her man. And we both got thrown out. And I was there shocked, like, why am I getting kicked out? I didn't know she was sleeping with your man. I felt terrible. Be glad that's all that happened. I felt terrible. And so I take that back. Giselle is not responsible for Robin's actions because I didn't know my friend was sleeping with my other friend's man. And
you could have gotten in a car with me as Big P, and then we arrived and Little P came out. Now, how would I know?
Yeah, I know.
I was that is
the truth. You got me. I take that back. Giselle is not responsible for Robin's actions.
Let me ask about this real quick. When Giselle, I was shocked when Giselle said that Wendy looked at her child Grace all cockeyed.
Oh, girl.
First of all,
she did though. Did you see the video that they showed?
Wait a minute. I was going to say the opposite of you. I saw the video and I was going to say, okay, what's cockeyed then? Because she just, wait. I just saw her just look at her.
Moving on? Yes. Grace is, she's a young driver.
Tennis told me to be very. I'm scared.
I thought with a straight face.
Though I mean, with her daughter walking,
I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I didn't see.
What was that about? I thought that was odd myself.
Okay, wait.
You know what? I don't think that it was anything super major. But what was that about? Like, why were you watching her? I don't know if maybe she
watching her walk away.
Grace's dress was a little too small or something, because you know she's a mom.
Okay.
So maybe she thought that dress was too short or too sexy. But I thought she was staring at her a little bit, and I was like, why are you watching this little girl walk by? But I don't think that she meant anything really negative about it.
Yeah.
But I think she probably was thinking her dress is a little tight or a little short, and maybe that's what it was. But what really got me, and I got a little emotional. You people know I'm an emotional wreck. I don't want to be judged. When Giselle got really emotional about Karen and the kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I teared up a little bit. I said, oh my gosh.
And I thought you probably would too.
As a mom, I said, yeah, those people, they were really friends.
Because you know, your kid
watched her kids grow up and everything. And I said, yeah, they need to learn how to grow up, make up, and move forward.
Yeah, because me and my friends, sometimes we agree and disagree and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes I take months off from talking to them. But if I ever see their children, like, I am so good with their children. I love their children. You know, and you watch your best friend's kids grow up, and the children are, you know, you don't touch the kids. Right. The kids are, you know, they remain just, you know,
kids are off limits.
Precious. They just remain precious little beings until they, you know, they grow up and they're not little anymore. Right. But you don't, it's just a special spot in your heart for the kids.
Yes. Yeah. Especially when you've seen them grow up.
Yeah,
it is. In their life ever since they were tiny. You don't want the kids to look at you and think, oh my gosh, I remember when I used to like her, but now she hates my mom. You know what I mean? So I totally get it. She wants to be good with the kids and vice versa. So I'm hoping next season we can see something else. I just can't, you know, I can't. I did think that Andy was throwing major shade at Michael when he brought up Michael being a film producer. And I'm glad that him and Wendy felt the same way as me, because I could have sworn when he brought up movie producing, he was talking about adult movies. I really did.
Why does everybody say that?
Because he nasty. The man is nasty and an adulterer, allegedly.
That man never said that. So I don't understand where everybody gets it from. Everybody's assuming, thinking, throwing out there adult films.
He's just nasty. That's why. I mean, get down in the comments, peeps, and say, when you heard Michael Darby say that he was interested in getting into producing movies, what did you guys think? Did you think he was interested in producing, the next Batman? Or did you think he was interested in producing the adult industry films? I thought adult industry.
That is not the first thing that popped in my mind. Maybe because he didn't say that. And I just didn't think it.
Because you have such a good heart. Me personally, I think he
better not disappoint me. He better not do it. He better not do it. And as a matter of fact, I did a reading on it, you know, and it didn't say that he was doing. Now, it did show something else that was about that third party sexualness.
Did you see that comment that Giselle made when Ashley said that they were back to their regular sex life or whatever?
Yeah,
Giselle said,
"Are you
talking about women? The women or whatever?" I said, Giselle, why are you?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
That up? But Ashley tried to act like she didn't know what kind of movie. She said, "Well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If that bridge says it comes with a lot of money, Ashley will cross that bridge. She'll be right there for it."
The thing about it is, I don't feel like Ashley is happy about that. I don't feel like she's happy about him going into that movie business, but she's pretending that she is. She's pretending that she's okay. Now, that's one thing I can say that Ashley will do is stand by her man. But like behind the scenes, I believe she'll let him have it on how she really feels about things. Well, but she's not going to
Remember when she told him that she didn't think it was a good idea for him to be investing money in the movie business, considering that they have kids to put through college and all of that stuff. And he told her that he could handle it. So I guess they'll see what happens. Andy moved on to the wide body comments.
I was actually offended by the wide body comment.
But I feel like Candace knew where to jab to make it hurt. And they were going back and forth. And she's very good at that.
There was a moment in the car that he seemed to be really critiquing your post-baby body that people felt was really disrespectful for a husband to be saying to his wife who had just had a child.
You can still look at me sexually, like.
Yes. And you're quickly getting back into shape, which is great for me.
Okay, first I'm gonna need your bob to stop weaving, because really, he wasn't saying it offensively.
The first thing that came to my mind about that wide body comment is it seemed as if Robin was giving Candace a pass for making that comment about Ashley being wide-bodied. I just didn't understand why Robin was sticking up for that. And I appreciate Andy bringing up about Michael, because in one of my videos, I brought that up. I said, Michael makes a lot of comments about her after pregnancy body, and they did seem derogatory to me, but Ashley doesn't think so. What did you think?
Well, Ashley explained it by saying that they both are body conscious and they work out together and everything, and that's the way that they talk. And let me say, you know, I've had several partners before where we did work out together, and we do watch each other. And well, it's not watch. Let me take that back. Encourage each other. Now, that's not how I want to be encouraged.
Right.
I don't need you to diss me or down me. You know, that doesn't work.
Right.
But when you do work out with someone and you both are on the same page, you do tend to speak that way, and whether, like, I would imagine whether a camera's there or not, if that's the way you speak when you're encouraging each other. So if that's their language, it's not mine. Don't diss my body. But if that's their language as they work out together, and if that motivates, because obviously it did. We saw her working out first thing in the morning when they went on that vacation. So she does work out. So we can't, to me, it's tough when you want to judge how a couple communicates and encourages each other with their own type of language. That's touchy.
But that's the thing. When we can only speak on what we see during the show, and the show is edited, chopped and screwed and things like that, the way he spoke to her, it come off as derogatory. It came off as he was letting her know, well, you're getting your body back, and I'm really happy about that. And it just seemed as if she wouldn't have gotten her body back, he would have just left or something.
It did.
You know what I mean? It came off in that way, you know, but I always say pretty much what you said. You know, if it doesn't offend her, then why do I care? He's not none of my husband. I personally don't like Michael Darby, but it is what it is. They ended up moving on and talking about jealousy.
Yes, I'm so jealous of Ashley becoming a mom before me. I'm a Black woman, and she has made comments about my hair being dry. You have a privilege being a lighter skinned woman.
You called me a slave.
A slave? You really
called
said
me a slave.
No, I didn't.
That's not
slave.
No, I didn't.
You said Michael drives his slaves.
At the next dinner, you call Michael a slave driver.
No, I didn't. I tweeted 2 years ago that something about him being an overseer. Responded to the
Michael
disrespect
calling Chris white trash is one thing. A white man talking to a white man, but you came out of your mouth and called me a slave. You're the one who wrote it. This is you not taking accountability again and again and again.
Get it a different way.
Girl, I got my check before you sat your ass on this couch, okay?
Yes,
I got it then. I'm gonna get it now, and I'm gonna keep getting it.
What'd you think of that conversation?
I think she is. And let me say why. It is not about skin color, because I got so upset about this racial thing. It ain't when I say that I believe Candace is jealous, it doesn't have anything to do with her husband's skin color or race or Ashley's skin color or race. I think having a family with children and appearing, at least anyway, to be happy. I think that's what the jealousy is. The children, the husband who has money, right? You know what I'm saying? Who's not her husbander? You know what I'm saying? Right. Because Ashley be singing, Michael ain't her husbander. Michael and her ain't meeting in no parking lot that has been called low budget, and they have 2 beautiful children. I think that's where the jealousy comes in at. It don't have nothing to do with skin color.
And that ignorant comment that she made about dry hair.
Girl!
Dry hair is
I have that written down.
Every nationality has
dry hair.
It has nothing to do with colorism. Now, colorism is a real thing, but I don't think colorism is the issue between Ashley and Candace. I really don't buy that.
I don't.
And I do think that when Candace makes those comments, calling Ashley a bedwench and calling her husband a slave master or whatever that was she was saying, I think Candace forgets that she's also married to an older white man. Like, ma'am, if Ashley is a bedwench, aren't you a bedwench too? You know, if Ashley is a slave, aren't you a slave too? Like, cut the crap. Let it go. You both have husbands who love you. The only difference is Ashley's husband is a little bit older than your husband, has a whole lot more money than your husband.
I was going to say, let's not forget about the money.
He also has a lot more issues than your husband. But both of you have husbands. You're married. You should be able to just act like grown-ups. Quit calling that woman a slave, a bedwench, and all these other things. And Ashley needs to leave Candace alone too. Can't they both just let it go? And the thing that cracks me up is Candace mentioning that Ashley needs to work for her paycheck, and Ashley makes that comment that she was getting this Real Housewives paycheck before Candace, because Ashley's the one who brought Candace on. But one thing that Candace told the truth about, she said you need to work for your own paycheck, and that is the truth. These last couple of seasons, Ashley has just been the pregnant housewife who has started trouble for everybody else. We haven't had any real storylines for Ashley. So I have to agree with Candace on that. You need to work on your storylines and get your own check.
That's true.
And Ashley was way cocky about continuing to be on the show and to continuing to get those checks. Ashley, to be honest, you can go. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? I agree, but what I would like to do before I kick her way off to the curb is this coming season, I don't want it to be about the babies. I don't want it to be about mess.
Oh, God.
I want her to have a storyline. Maybe her and Michael maybe she joins him in the movie making business.
Something. Anything. Yeah. If she comes back and she is,
I think we should give her one more chance.
This baby journey, or if we got to talk about her mom and her low life boyfriend and Uncle Lump, I don't want to see Uncle Lump no more. Now, if you don't come back with an official storyline that is not everybody else's business, please leave us alone. I don't want to be bothered with it. And another thing, if Candace does not cut the crap, you want to cry. You are so upset that Ashley is still friends with Monique. Andy says, well, Karen is still friends with Monique. And Karen says, well, I didn't write the letter. You are still going to be pissed off as if we are doing this 4th grade thing where I can't have 2 friends. Like, I can't be friends with her because you're not friends with her.
That was ridiculous.
That was just ridiculous to me. Candace, grow up.
I agree.
At least Wendy admitted that she did have her boobs done and she had a BBL. And she gave a little public service announcement about making sure that your doctor is board certified, and absolutely make sure that you have a board certified physician, because women are out here dropping like flies for going to these uncertified doctors and going to these back alley procedures and flying down to Brazil to have, I watched Botched. I mean, you have to make sure that you are going to a reputable physician. If you want to get something done, get it done. Hopefully in 2022, I'll be having some things done, but you best believe it will be a researched, certified physician, because I want to come back. I got a child. I want to live. Remember that movie, I Want to Live? That's an old classic. It's really good. If you haven't seen it, get into it.
I haven't.
To me, specifically, you're loose.
Okay. I used the wrong word. I was not implying that you were like
because I'm
a
sitting
slut
there
or something.
Well, for women, no matter what the connotation is, you don't tell a woman you're loose.
Honestly, I was not being mean. I wasn't being shady.
You rehearse your reads, Wendy.
If I can go up against the White House press secretary and then eat her ass up, do you think I can't handle these women off the top of my head? I understand that it may be so eloquent that you think it's rehearsed, but baby, I get paid for my words, and you're going to get every last bit of it.
Robin says that she was sincere, but I agree with Wendy when she says, if you were really sincere, all you had to do, if you wanted to ask me about my surgeries, about my husband, is to just come to me and have a conversation. And Robin says, I believe that's what we did in Williamton. And when they showed that flashback, I said, ma'am, hell no. If you really cared, that's the same thing. If Indigo is out here and she got these procedures and I think her and her husband something is going on, I'm going to pull her all the way to the side in private and say, girl, listen here, the blogs is talking. People is talking. What is happening? Do you want to talk? I'm here for you. I've noticed some change, but that's not what happened. Her and
I'm like, what change?
This woman in front of the entire group, treated her like crap, called her loose with no substance.
Yeah,
Does that sound like something a friend would say?
No. And then the thing, I loved Wendy's point of view when she said a blog maybe reaches hundreds of people. She said, this show reaches millions of people. Why would you do it this way? And I was like, yes, exactly. And then they answered, they being like Giselle and Robin answered as if she didn't just make that point. So then they had to have Andy rephrase it for them. And I'm like, why do y'all be talking like y'all answering a question, but y'all act like y'all didn't hear the question? That gets on my nerves. I don't know if I'm the only one, but that gets on my nerves when someone plainly says something to them and then they say an answer that's just like not the answer.
Absolutely. They were both trying to deflect and trying to make it seem as if they were genuine. They love her. They care about her. They were just asking.
But they were not.
We know
not
that's
at
a
all.
lie. We know that's a lie. But that fan question asking her about rehearsing her shade. Listen, when she replied back, I felt the passion. I said, well,
she doesn't have to though. Like,
Wendy.
I didn't feel like that. I feel like it I could see where they would say that it sound rehearsed, but do they not understand what she broke down? Like, she has to talk as a commentator on these news shows every day. So I knew it was natural. When it came out, I knew it was natural. All you got to do is know the facts about a person and you can spew out like that. Well, I feel like a person can spew out like that. You know what I'm saying? Just know the facts of a person.
Yeah.
Or you can talk
it
like
when
that.
Andy brought up the candle and he told Karen he felt it was really shady that she didn't tell Wendy about her 3-wick when she brought up her 1-wick. And they showed that flashback that 3 years earlier, she mentioned that she was going to have candles. And I thought, well, that was nice to be able to fall back on. However,
what's the big deal?
It still was extremely shady. You could have reminded that woman.
And then
when Andy threw her under the bus even further, when he told Wendy, he said, why didn't you have your candles out as soon as you mentioned it? He was like, that was several weeks of sales that you could have had.
Well, that's true.
And I said, oh, my Lord, that is so true. But then when she came back about that 3-wick,
the 5 and the 10,
Mia, he said, Mia brought out her candle before yours. He said,
now that was shady.
I thought that was extremely petty. That's what Andy said. And then when she said she's got a new 5 and 7-wick candle, I laughed girl, listen, I laughed so hard because I said, and now Mia's got that 9-wick.
I was like, and that's why I laughed too. Because you showed us, didn't you show us?
Yeah, so Wendy was so proud of her 5 and 7-wick. And I said, and now Mia's got the 9-wick. This is never going to stop. I'm telling you, 3 weeks from now, somebody's going to have a 14-wick. And
well, I hope it's Karen. Karen needs to come out with a 20-wick.
Not the 14-wick. I am not lying, peeps. I am going to come out with a 4-wick candle because, they skipped the 4, went straight to 5, 7, and 9. I'm going to have a 4-wick, okay? And it's only going to be like $12.99 or something. This is ridiculous. These women is doing the most. They are doing the most. Peeps and sages, get down in the comments. Are y'all here for my 4-wick? I'm telling you, somehow we'll pull together a 4-wick.
4-wick.
That was it. And I guess they said at the end of next week's episode is going to be Nicki Minaj. And then I hear that she's going to be all of part 4. So I'm interested in seeing that. But I did want to bring up that I seen on the blog somewhere that Kathy Hilton is refusing to film the Beverly Hills Housewives allegedly because she wants a bigger check. And personally, listen, I like Kathy, and I truly enjoyed the who is hunky dory. I mean, I really did, but we don't need her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think she needs additional cash because Kathy wasn't bringing that much. I mean, she was fun to watch and everything, but girl, bye.
She was named the fan favorite.
She is.
Now, I am seeing that it doesn't necessarily mean she's my favorite because she wasn't, but I am seeing that people who are named the fan favorite through these housewives, they have a little extra power. I didn't know that.
Because people are watching for it. People are watching.
Oh, okay.
And I absolutely adored her, but I don't think she needs any extra money. I mean, no. She didn't bring it. Every now and again she had something that was a little funny, but she was on the reunion. She was just how she was on the show. She sat there for most of the reunion putting on lipstick. And I'm like, girl, you don't bring that much to be getting extra cash.
Did you see her on, I was going to say, take a sip. Did you see her on The Real? I watched some clips of The Real today, and Kathy Hilton was on there, and she, they asked her about the hunky dory, and she went ahead and said, of course I know who hunky dory was. I always knew who hunky dory was. I'm not that removed. She said, I just said it on purpose to make Sutton laugh.
Well, I'm glad, because otherwise she seemed like an idiot. But it was quite hilarious, and on another note, something that is not quite hilarious is that you and I both seen that the Real Housewives of New York has been put on hiatus until 2023. They have decided, with everything that has gone down with Ramona and those alleged racist comments that she made and her performance last season, and we all seen how she acted throughout the entire season,
and the
way she acted at that Black Shabbat, and then with Ebony acted, she was doing a lot. Between the two of them and Leah, the sponsors of the show, they don't know what to do with the Real Housewives of New York. So they have decided that they need to take a whole time out until 2023 so that they can revamp, recast, and figure out what they are going to do with this series, because they went from having 1 million people watching each episode to less than 500,000. So when the ratings go down low like that, and that's what happened to the Real Housewives of OC, they have brought, Fancy Pants Heather back, which I was never a huge fan of Heather because I didn't like the way she treated Dr. Dubrow, and I loved him. But I hear that her and Gina bring it this season. Originally, I had decided not to cover the Real Housewives of the OC on my channel because last season they really did too daggone much. Yeah, and I'm still not sure that I'm going to cover them, period. I may watch a couple episodes and see how I feel, but it's something about them bringing on one of Bronwyn's old friends.
Oh, that's right. And cutting out Bronwyn and bringing her friends.
When I seen her in the preview, she looks a lot like Bronwyn. And I don't know, the Housewives of the OC to me is just not the same without Vicky and Tamara. And I'm kind of over them, so I don't think that I'm going to cover them at all.
Okay, let me ask you real quick. What did Leah do that turned you off?
Leah, last season, she was just doing way too much. I mean, first of all, she got involved in a lot of stuff that was none of her business.
Oh,
and she's just talked so much. And another thing that turned me off is she pretended on the show that she was so close to her Ebony. And then you hear through Page 6 and all these other blogs that after the season was over, her and Luann and Ramona made a pact that whenever Ebony showed up for some event, they would leave and not speak to her. And I'm thinking, if you were really her friend, why would you be a part of that?
They weren't. In that book, first of all, in that book, the Housewives book, The only thing that Leah even says about Ebony, she doesn't say anything about being her friend, anything about bringing her on. There's nothing mentioned. The only thing that she says is that I think it's awesome and great that Ebony's able to come on this show and represent Black women. That's all she says.
That's the problem with the Housewives franchise. They would have a better show if they actually cast women who knew each other.
Exactly.
I think that the chemistry is off because they're all co-workers who are like crabs in a bucket. They're trying to crawl to the top so that they can make it, and it's just coming off.
It's not working.
Desperate and so overly dramatic. And it's kind of like, remember way back when Aviva was on the show and she took off her leg and threw it on the table? I said, you know what? Just over dramatic. I'm just saying.
Admitted, you know what? In that book, she admitted it. She said, I thought the way to be on the show was to be fake and bring drama. And so that's what I did. I played a character. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, yeah, I knew that it was good to take off my leg. And she said, and then nothing happened. So she said, then I threw it.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But you know what? Money will drive you to do crazy things. I don't know. Peeps and sages, get down in the comments. Let us know what you think of this episode. I'm about to have another drink, and we are about to talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So buckle up because we will be back. That was a lot. Until next time, bye.